A CMO walks into a psychologist's office and plops down on a couch in utter despair. "What's wrong?" the psychologist asks. "You look terrible." "I can't cope, Doc. It's just not working out." "I want to succeed. It's only been 2 years after all, and the first few months were fine, talking about some great ideas and an exciting future together. There were the inevitable squabbles about direction. Okay, that's normal. But now it's getting to the point where we simply can't communicate anymore. I try to speak the same language, and we share the same goals and objectives, but it seems like there's a total lack of understanding of how complicated things have gotten for me lately, and how my needs for success have changed. Frankly, we just don't gel, and I'm starting to think that I'll be out in the cold pretty soon." "It can't be easy," the psychologist says. "Marriage is often a constant battle of wills." "Marriage," the CMO says. "I'm talking about my CEO." The CMO-CEO relationship may only seem like a bad marriage in desperate need of couples therapy. At many companies, the relationship can be dysfunctional at best and counterproductive at worst, as CEOs ratchet up the pressure on CMOs to drive growth and create new revenue streams. It's no wonder the average CMO tenure among Fortune 500 companies is now just a little more than 4 years, per executive search firm Spencer Stuart. Part of the problem is the perception upper management has about marketing. According to a recent survey of more than 120 C-level executives conducted by McKinsey in partnership with the ANA, roughly 50% of CEOs said they feel comfortable with modern marketing. However, 66% of CMOs said their CEOs were not comfortable with modern marketing. Talk about getting lost in the translation. CEOs understand traditional advertising, of course, the 15 and 30-second spot and whatnot, but modern marketing and the dizzying complexity that accompanies it, not so much. Adding to the disconnect, just 10% of Fortune 250 CEOs have marketing experience, and only 4% have previously held a CMO-like role. Unlocking the partnership will require both CEOs and CMOs to push the reset button and change their collective mindset when it comes to the value that marketing provides. I recently had Ed C. and Robert Tass, partners of McKinsey and co-authors of the study, on the Champions of Growth podcast. They insist that with some fresh thinking and getting the CFO on board, CEOs can rely on marketers as a main lever to drive growth, boost engagement, and bolster customer relations. If CMOs can hit that trifecta and ultimately provide solid returns, bigger marketing budgets will likely follow, not to mention a different and perhaps less jaundiced view from the CFO on the important role marketing can play throughout the entire company. The existing tension between some CEOs and CMOs is an opportunity to recalibrate marketing's remit and develop more objective-based programs to engage your audiences. CEOs must be the drivers of meaningful change, while the onus remains on marketers to execute, measure, and generate solid returns. A good place to start is to agree on a common set of metrics and KPIs, and be clear in the methodology. This seems obvious, but many organizations are still skipping this step. As the research shows, CEOs and CFOs remain hyper-focused on revenue margins, while only about a third of CMOs share that same focus. C and Tass say that in the most successful CEO-CMO relationships, CMOs don't even show the ad creative or discuss brand awareness. Rather, they demonstrate how marketing is the business driver of key metrics like acquisition, cross-selling, and retention. In fact, one CMO taking part in the McKinsey ANA study said, quote, "My metrics are the Wall Street metrics my CEO follows," end quote. Hard stop. CMOs need to be business people first and keep the C-suite up to speed on how marketing generates 3 specific deliverables. Number 1, units delivered. Number 2, profit delivered. Number 3, a forecast on what to deliver next. CMOs are often referred to as the connective tissue, and that's all well and good. But perhaps CEOs need their CMOs to be more like an integrator, bringing multiple parties together, tech, finance, product development, to connect the dots and execute on the company's overall strategy. To do so, everyone must first be clear on what the dots are and how they populate a transparent and sustainable formula for driving revenue and profitability. It's not a simple task, and CEOs and CMOs exhausted by the status quo will have their work cut out for them this year. But like a good marriage, If both sides can come together to agree on the goals of the organization and how they execute on those goals, they'll have a healthy relationship. Otherwise, it may be time to consult a good therapist. For the A&A Champions of Growth podcast, I'm Matthew Schwartz.